Cory McCray, and what I like to start off is where I'm at right now. Right now, I'm a union leader within the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. The acronym is IBEW. I also serve as one of the commissioners, the 5 board commissioners for the Baltimore City Board of Elections. I'm also an entrepreneur within the East and Northeast Baltimore neighborhoods. And why I share where I'm at now, because I think that in order to understand my past, it's so important to kind of to understand where I'm at right now. It's so important to understand that past. Now, my story is no different than anybody else that probably grew up in Baltimore City. From what I've done, I just remember at times just trying to cause as much harm as possible to the people that lived in Baltimore City, and just not caring or having no disregard or no regard for life. I remember going to school, I remember going to school, and I think it hit me around middle school. I remember going to Rockland, Chickapin, Winston, Emerson, Northern, and I graduated from Fairmont Hartford. So it started at an age of 11. And that's why the programs that we see here today are so important. Because by the age of 13, I was on those corners. I was the guy that carrying that gun. I was the guy that was trying to cause as much harm, maybe it was to you or maybe it was to your kids. What I remember was serving in every facility, every juvenile facility, Boys Village, Cheltenham, Victor Cullen, no matter what it was. I remember catching 2 adult charges before I could turn to age 18 and serving time over that city jail. And why I share that is because I see these programs like this today, and that's why I feel like I'm at where I'm at right now, because I know the importance. I know how it is to reach back in that life that could be saved. So as you know, I like to share this one last thing. It's funny that we're in East Baltimore right now because I was born and raised in Northeast East Baltimore. But I remember doing 10 months in some place, Sabillersville, Maryland, out in a facility called Victor Cullen. I came home, I think I was 17, and I wasn't home 30 days before I caught my second charge and went over to city jail. But I caught it right there on that street, Milton and Preston, driving, having 2 guns, having drugs in the cars. And that's what we have to look up to? Is that what we have to look up to? Not being home for 30 days? I went over to city jail and I was spent the time with a guy that just got finished doing 5 years. And he was in the same situation that I was in. And that was that disregard for life that I'm talking about. So how did I make it out? I made it out because I had a determined mother. My mother never gave up on me, even when I gave up on myself. What she did was, she called the Maryland State Department of Labor, and she asked them to send her every apprenticeship program that was within the state of Maryland. She told me to give every last one of them a call. I gave the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers a call, and I gave every one a call. But I was accepted into the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. That's why I always say that apprenticeship saved my life. What that apprenticeship was, it was a 5-year apprenticeship. It was free. It was free. The schooling was free, once again. Because a lot of times I grew up on these streets, and a lot of times I thought that people were hustling me. If you told me that I could go to school and make a living, I thought that you were hustling me. If you told me that somebody made more than $18 an hour, I thought you were hustling me, because that wasn't what I was used to seeing. So I went through that apprenticeship. And after that first and that second year, I realized this was a reality. That was an opportunity that was given to me. And then I started, what happens is I feel like I changed because I changed my surroundings. I changed the people that I was around. The people that I was working with were owned carryouts, they owned liquor stores, they owned rental property. And I said, if this guy can do it, I know I can do it. I went through that apprenticeship program, and I was an entrepreneur at the age of 13. I knew how to make a buck, I just never did it legally. I bought my first house at the age of 20 years old. I bought my second house at 21, third at 22. And I said that this guy's no different from me. He's not smarter than me, it's just that he had an opportunity that was given him at a different age. And that's why I feel like giving back is so important. That's why I always take the time to reach back. I remember working on one of the homes, and how I got engaged in the community was, I had a community association president, Bella Addison. Anybody in here, most of us know Tony Dawson. Tony Dawson is the community association president, or past president of Bella Addison Community Association. He walks up on me one day and he says, "Hey man, you taking out all this money out of my neighborhood, what are you doing to give back?" Did you join our community association? How are you helping out the neighbors that you're working around? I said, well, I didn't even know what a community association was and where do I find this information at? I said, I don't got no problem trying to help you. And it was that black man that took the time to say, hey, it's more that you can be do, and it's more that need to be done. That's why I always respected Tony Dawson's and so many other people that walk around in this world that's just trying to help our communities. Being engaged, sitting on the board of elections. What happened was, once I realized about giving back, I didn't know how to. It took people to show me how to do this. I started going to every community meeting that I invested in. I sat on the boards of those community associations. And I said, hey, what else can I do? How else can I make this more of a productive? And it's a certain feeling when you give it back. It's such a warm feeling. You can't buy that feeling. And what happens after that, my delegates, my senators, they see me in the community meetings. Who's this guy that's always sitting in the back, sit on these boards and in these community meetings? Well, that's Cory McCray. He's been there for a couple of years. He's always giving back a little bit. And I had my delegate Cheryl Glenn. She says, Cory, I see you pretty much know the people in the neighborhood. I see that you pretty much engage with the process. Is it possible that you can run for State Central Committee on my ticket? And I said that I really didn't know what State Central Committee was or what's entailed with this. Let me research it a little bit, but if it's not anything that can get me in any harm and help people out, why not? I ran for that State Central Committee at the age of 25, and I lost by 151 votes. But another opportunity presented itself, an opportunity to get the experience to work on that Board of Elections, to actually sit on that Board of Elections and learn how the election process goes. Being in my union, the IBW, I was able to get the opportunity to be a union rep because one of the things that these streets do teach you is loyalty and discipline. At least that's what I learned from the streets. And I always woke up that half an hour early. Once I learned that, hey, if you show up on a job a half an hour early, don't be the first person that's learning out there. Always try to give the man 8 hours work for 8 hours pay. And that also brought me an opportunity to serve as a union rep for my local union. And what that does was, I'm not sure how many people are familiar with unions, but most of the people that's in leadership are either 50 years old and they're Caucasian males. So what that person that gave me that opportunity was, he started doing some out-of-the-box thinking. He gave a 25-year-old an opportunity, and my local union probably almost got set on fire, probably almost shook it up. You know, he did something different. But what I think that work ethic, it doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, black or white, young or old, if you have great work ethic, that's something that most people will respect. And one of the things that I remember, I heard this about 2 years ago. It was a guy that I greatly respected, a person in my local union. His family was 3 generations within the local union. And he said, Cory, when they asked you to take that position, I really didn't support it. I didn't think that you were the right person for the job. But you've done everything to prove me wrong. And that meant so much coming from him because this was a guy that I respected. This was a guy that had a family history, had everything 50 years plus, everything, all that local union was all that mattered to him at that time. And for him to say that, I knew that hard work, opportunity is all that these young men need in this city. You give them the ability to make a decent living. You give them the ability to strive and succeed. They will take that chance. I know I was one of them young men. That's why I think that this program or this opportunity right here is so important. So important that I hope that we all take advantage of it. And as Anthony stated, as so many other people have stated, don't just say yes, but make sure that you're committed. One of the things, like I said, I find very enriching, a wonderful experience is the relationships that I have and the connection that I can connect to people at this time. And anybody that knows me is if somebody does ask me for something, I try to break my neck to help that person because you never know what it could lead to after that time. And what I like to leave with, I always like to leave with a quote if possible. But one of the greatest quotes and one of the things that I strive for is that it says, many of life's failures don't know how close they were to success. I always enjoy that. I think that I can accomplish anything that anybody puts in front of me, and I hope that the young men that we're going to be helping in this future feel the same way. Thank you.